I'm back. Programming is something that most people have wanted to get into at some point in their lives and either didn't have the time to pursue their interest or didn't have the right guidance. If you're also a wannabe Google developer like myself and want to start programming, you've come to the right place. Unlike most logical things, where when difficulty increases, so does the reward, programming languages range from really hard and impractical to really easy and very useful. Please note, this video is about what you should learn first, not what everyone else should learn first. So I will not recommend any programming languages, but will instead keep it general and give you a guide which will help you choose what is good for you. In my experience, the best way to decide what language you should start with depends on the following questions. How easy is it? How similar it is to other languages? What can I do with it? And by extension, can I do what I want to do with it? And is it enjoyable, or would I rather be stung by a bed of scorpions? Ease of the programming language is the most important thing for people who have little to no programming experience. I would like to propose the following rule to judge the ease of a language. If I can do it, it is easy because I am incompetent. Commonly, languages like Python, JavaScript, and C are considered fairly easy. HTML and CSS are considered programming languages by some intellectually deficient programmers, for once, unlike Mr. Bollard, and the proper term for these languages is called scripting. Thus, I will exclude them from this video. Languages like C++ are considered to be on the harder end, so are generally considered not to be favorable starting languages. Similarities to other languages give insight into how easily you'll be able to expand your brain and programming skills in the future. So far, I haven't found a single programming language that is written in another language except for English, so I don't have much for this one. Though this Hindi code do be looking kinda sick. Oh wait, sorry. Did you want me to talk about the similarities to other programming languages? I suppose that would be more helpful. Certain languages have very strong similarities. JavaScript, Python, and Lua are very similar in nature and structure, with the only difference being their nature and structure. Hold on. So languages are sorted into two main groups, dynamic and static. The differences between these two essentially just boils down to how they execute, and with the extremely simplistic print hello world code that I am capable of, I have not run into any major discrepancies between these two other than different runtimes. However, in general, static and dynamic languages are very different in terms of how they're written. I won't go into the differences here, but it's worth noting that if you first learn a dynamic language, it is easier to learn another dynamic language as it is similar in structure. Likewise, learning a static language makes it easier to learn static ones in the future. But someone needs to do something about these semicolons, man. They're pointless and make me cry more than if I looked in the mirror and saw my own reflection. Next, what can we do with the language? If you're a dumbass like me, then probably nothing due to a drastic lack of skill and poor mental capabilities. But all of you should be able to do pretty much everything you want to do with all the languages. At the end of the day, it just boils down again to the level of ease. If you're interested in game development, C++ is something you might want to look into. What about AI development? Python would be a great start. Unity game development, C# is the goat. Want to use Godot engine? Please never talk to me. If you're looking to just dabble around in code with the intent of learning and not creating anything big or specific, then all languages should work. If you're an inhumane sociopath, then just use assembly. As long as you can do what you want with the language with relative ease, you've found your starting point. If you have some project idea in mind and are not sure what language to use or learn, comment something below and I'll respond to you when I get a chance away from my busy schedule of sleeping for 23 hours a day. Last and definitely least, do you enjoy it? Because we all know what school taught us, nothing good comes out of having fun. So join the boys, start programming, hate life like the rest of us, and only then, when you've crippled your hands from 12 hours straight of programming to get a simple physics function working and it finally works, only then will you find true happiness. There are some languages that I downright hate. For me, I can never remember C# syntax, and it just doesn't flow with me. Lua, on the other hand, comes to me like I come to 4 bars of chocolate sitting in my fridge, waiting to be eaten all at once. Yet strangely, despite JavaScript being relatively similar to Lua, I can never find myself enjoying coding it. Learning it in a day probably gave me PTSD, and that might be why. But my point is, there's no real pattern to enjoying the language. You just have to try it, see if it works, and if it doesn't feel right to you when you're typing the code, it might be time to consider a different language. Once you get advanced in a language, typing hundreds of lines can become common practice, and hating and struggling with the language makes this extremely painful and tedious, almost more painful than watching my videos. So those are the 4 questions that I believe are a good guide to help you get started programming. And even if it's not your first time programming and you've tried it before and for some reason enjoyed it and want to do more, then firstly, you belong in a mental asylum for either being insane or smoking something really heavy. And secondly, these questions will also guide you in choosing your next programming language. I hope this helped. You're strange because you take advice from me, but thanks for watching. And now it's time for me to get back to sleep. Good night.